What is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back with some more StellarBlade gameplay for you. And today I have a review of the said game. After the demo came out, I had a lot of high hopes for this game. This was definitely one of my most anticipated titles for this year. And I was hoping that the rest of the game could definitely come along for the ride and be a really fun, entertaining game. And so hopefully by the end of this review I can give you kind of a sense of if this is something you would possibly want to play, buy, or maybe wait, or maybe it's just not for you. So without further ado, let's get into StellarBlade review itself. I think I speak for everybody who's played this game. The gameplay is definitely the best part of this, and it's really addicting. And it's nice to see that there's a lot of games that still emphasize the gameplay. Not to say that the other things aren't important, but sometimes you just want to get down and play something for its gameplay value, and definitely has a lot of value for its gameplay, as I was stuck playing this for a long time. I just got shy of 70 hours after platinuming the game, but it never became boring to me in terms of the gameplay and fighting the various creatures. And there's a lot of various creatures through this game that I really deeply enjoyed. And I like the variety of the enemies, as well as where you fought them, as well as fighting different combinations of them. And with the combinations of you parrying and dodging and using your abilities, I definitely had a huge blast with this game. It has its few difficulty spikes, but I feel like they're just more learning curves, stuff you learn over time how to better prepare yourself. I never felt like I was ever at a moment where I was ultimately going to fail because it just wasn't working. It's just more, my lack of skills or lack of knowledge or just lack of being good enough. So I felt like the game gave me a good progression from where I started to where I end. And definitely by the end of this game, you definitely feel really overpowered and badass and stuff like that, as well as the boss fights. The boss fights are definitely a thrill to play. I liked all the animations in terms of when you would be introduced to the boss, as well as a lot of the fatalities when killing the boss. But overall, the combat is just so satisfying. Nothing feels better than just fighting a really tough enemy and then just constantly blocking and dodging in quick succession every one of their attacks, and then just using all the built up energy you've stored, depending on if you parried it or dodged it, with the different types of attacks and energy you would use to basically unleash on your enemy. So it was always a fun thing to do, and sometimes the fights wouldn't go as planned. Sometimes you get whacked around and beat up, but you live and you learn. I just liked a lot of that progression. It felt really satisfying and really good. Another cool thing I really liked about this game, which I found was really fun, is when you would see an enemy from a distance and you could just run up real fast behind them and just assassinate them in one hit, no matter how big or powerful they are. It was really just a cool thing to do, and I saw myself doing this a lot in this game because you get a lot of wide areas like big deserts or cities, and you just get behind a lot of enemies and just constantly be a silent assassin. So that was another thing I was kind of addicted to doing a lot of in this game. There's a lot of abilities in this game, and even in New Game Plus you unlock even more abilities and skills. So you'll have a lot of skills you can unlock, a lot for trees that give you more abilities. But one of the coolest parts I do like is if you unlock something and you're kind of new to the ability itself, you're not really familiar or comfortable doing it, you can practice only that ability in the entire game to try to get good at it. Just try to constantly do only that one and constantly do it and practice it until you get good. So I feel like that's a really cool adjustment here, and it's just basically like you're training for that personal attack or ability you want to learn. It gives you a little input button thing on the top here, but something you can stay in here as long as you want to learn stuff. So I think that's really helpful, so you can learn how to do a lot of these combinations all at the same time, because there's a lot of them to do this. And when things flow and you start doing combinations really good, it really feels very satisfying to do. But it's not just melee. You also have weaponry in terms of guns and firearms. You have different versions of it, like rockets or lasers, and it's not as fun to do it with the guns as it is the melee, but it does help out. It does have its benefits, and I do like that you do have the options, and you can upgrade these weapons as well. So you have a lot of versatility in how you can fight and defeat your enemies, and I think that's a lot of fun here, because there's not one way you can do a lot of things. Yeah, you can be that parry or dodging master, or you could spam your abilities, or you can spam your ammunition and weapons. So I like the fact that you have so many abilities, or so many ways you can basically attack and defeat your enemies in terms of the nativa. I also think it's cool that some of these levels in this game, they remind me of other games, ironically. Like this one definitely reminds me of Dead Space. Not just with the area you're in, but the enemies you fight and how they look. It definitely gives me those Dead Space vibes. And unfortunately, with the whole news of Dead Space with EA recently, this definitely makes me feel a little bit better because I'm still saddened about that. But yeah, it's not something I was expecting, but I'm all here for it because it definitely has not got the vibe. It feels great, but it doesn't feel like it's just there for that. It feels natural to this game, and it feels satisfying to do. Basically, it's an area in which you can't use your melee and you can only use your gun. So having that with these weird like Nativa mixed in with all this environment and stuff, and ironically enough, it wasn't just Dead Space I felt had a few levels similar to that. There's also a moment when you're going in a train graveyard I felt like it was kind of a homage to Uncharted 2, which was another game I deeply love from my past. So seeing some of these games I really love, kind of, I don't know if they'd done it intentionally or just how it worked out, was kind of fun to see because I like seeing other things referenced and brought back in a way because, you know, it's just cool to see things like that for me personally.
Are you alright?
One thing I definitely do like about this game is a lot of the designs of the characters. I think some of them look really cool as hell. Some of them look really weird, but not in a bad way. But they definitely unique and stand out. Whether you're just seeing normal NPCs on the side or people that give you side quests or maybe more important characters. There's a lot of unique designs with the characters you encounter with their cyberized parts, or maybe they're just mutate with something else, or robots.
Hello.
Regardless of what it is, there's definitely no end to the uniqueness of it. One of my ironically favorite designs, and it's funny because it comes from someone that doesn't really do anything but stand there, would be this guy right outside of Oracle's chamber. I mean, I think that design on the right looks dope as hell. Like, I just wished he was used more than just stand there. I mean, he looks like a badass warrior, but unfortunately you never see him do anything. One thing I definitely will say, also in designs that I really love, and I think this is key to have in any of these type of games like this, is have an impressive enemy roll call. And there's a lot of impressive enemy looking designs. I mean, there are so many unique and different variations of enemies within Nativas, because whether they're just, you know, pure flesh monster, or maybe they're fused with robots, or a combination of that monster robot combination, it looks really cool by a lot of these dudes. A lot of these guys, they give me kind of like that old school, like, I guess, Transformer vibe on top of some, you know, newer Dead Space in terms of, you know, that creature flesh and mutation. But it's something I definitely did like a lot of, and it was always cool and fun to find a new type of enemy and see how they progress, how they fought, and how you had to fight them. And also unique when you would fight like a bunch of them at the same time, because you'd have to be careful in terms of how they would attack you and how you could possibly fight them off and stuff. So I give them a lot of points just for all the cool designs. I mean, honestly, it'd be cool just to have a huge art book just to look at a lot of these designs, how they were designed, what they initially were, and what their final results were, because these guys were dope as hell. I'm curious what would be everyone's personal favorite design for all those who have played this game. I don't know what I would go with, but maybe these mechanized versions, they're cool. You also have a few puzzles you can do in the game, whether it to be to progress towards the next area in a mission, or maybe it's just to open up a chest. It helps add a little bit of differences in the game outside just pure hack and slash melee gameplay oriented stuff like that. There's also a nice fun fishing mini game that I really definitely enjoy, where you can basically prove you're a master angler and catch all kinds of big gigantic fish. I mean, hell, you can even catch great white sharks in lakes and stuff, which I don't know how that's possible, but whatever, it's a game, so who cares. Overall, this game looks beautiful to look at. I mean, it looks fantastic. The soundtrack is absolutely amazing, and I know everyone keeps talking about, the jiggle physics, but why don't we talk about these hair physics? I mean, that's just dead on great and amazing. But all joking aside, this game looks wonderful. Even though it is a post-apocalyptic area, it looks really beautiful, and it's a fun world to be in. I deeply enjoyed my entire visit, and as I said, I enjoyed the soundtrack greatly. There's a lot of outfits to unlock in this game. I still haven't gotten them all yet, but I've gotten a lot of them, and there's a lot of variety in them. There's a lot of different versions, and you can get them in multiple playthroughs. Some of them you only get in a second playthrough, but And all these outfits, I said, you can earn in the game. You can enjoy them, dress up Eve however you want to. But since everyone is all getting all anal about some of the outfits, I just want to say there's one outfit that is definitely gone under the radar, and it's by far the best one in the game. It's no debate. There's no discussing it. None comes anywhere close, and it's the one that everyone should have equipped on at all possible times. And I know I'm being really sarcastic when I say this, but it's got to be this one. It's got to be the pink bear. I mean, nothing beats a pink bear. Just imagine that thing staring outside of you at the window. Yeah, that's just something that horrors are made up of. But yeah, it's in the game in case you want it. You also have a fluffy bear version of it too. But if you want to be a killer bear that kills everything, go right ahead. I also find it funny and cute every time Eve finds one of those collectible cans, she's got to hold it up in the air as if like it's one of those Legend of Zelda-like moments. You got to celebrate the treasure you just pulled out of the chest and all. So I think that's kind of cool. So far, I've only been talking about the things I do like, and there's a lot more good than there is bad. There's a lot more positives than negatives, but it doesn't mean there isn't a few negatives. As if there is one of the things I personally didn't like in the game, and not that I feel like it was terrible, I just feel like it could have been done a lot better. But granted, this is his first time making a console game, so I get it. I feel like these are things that maybe they just need more experience in doing, or need to hire more people that are more qualified to doing certain things like that. But it would have to be in this. I did enjoy the story. I did like it. I was never bored or not involved in it. I liked a lot of the world. I liked a lot of the lore and the build-up, as well as learning the factions, learning the history of stuff, why things happened, the lies, and how things have been kind of covered up, and learning it bit by bit as I progress through the story. But if there's one thing that I think really needed a lot more work on, it was with the characters. Now, I've heard a lot of people say that Eve isn't the greatest character, that she's kind of bland and boring. I don't agree with that. I don't actually have a problem with her. I think she's a cool enough character. I'm not saying she couldn't be done better. She could. But I think the real problem and why she isn't done better is it's not really her fault. It's more the rest of the cast of characters. Like, there's interesting characters, but I just feel like there's not enough with them. There's not enough moments that involve them outside of the few moments of banter. Like, you get certain side quests with certain characters that have a little bit more important than your random NPCs, where like you run shops and you do more personal quests with them. I like that. I just wish those characters could have been more involved with the main cast. But the irony is, the main cast that's usually with Eve is both Lily and Adam. But the problem is outside of Lily and Adam, like, what do you really have with Lily and Adam? You don't really have a lot of quests to do with either one of these two. I mean, Adam doesn't really have a quest to do with him, like a side quest to learn more about him or to delve into his past or more moments about him. Lily has one sort of at the end, but it leaves more questions than answers. I just feel like I didn't really know much about them, which probably would have made the final decisions in the game a lot more impactful. I just wish there was more moments with them. I feel like what they should have done, and it always seems like I say this a lot, is there's a lot of side quests in the game. I feel like if you got rid of half the ones that are just simply go here, pick up this, and go back to the random NPC, and use those quests to make better ones that involve Adam, Lily, maybe even do ones that involve Eve as well as involve the other characters that were a little bit more important than your random NPCs. I feel like that would have made it so much better. I mean, just imagine if you do certain side quests with some of the more important characters in Zion, and they actually kind of join you in your calls. They actually join in on your ship, maybe even have a few moments of banter, maybe even join in to help, add support to the game. Not just, I don't mean like necessarily joining you to fight in the battle, maybe possibly, but just having that extra layer of another personality, another character. I feel like that would have done a lot of favors to a lot of the other characters, have them really have a lot of funny and pervious banter with each other, as well maybe a lot of emotional moments too. I mean, for instance, take Eve for example. She's usually pretty serious. She has a few moments of funny, but usually it's just her getting maybe a little too blunt or upset at something once in a while. But just involving her with a character like Roxanne, who definitely knows how to get under her skin, and I feel like that would just added a huge dynamic outside just doing the few certain side quests. Imagine her on the tetrapod just really getting under Eve's skin. I would definitely love to see that. I feel like those are the things that would have made the characters so much more endearing and fun, and they were given those moments as well as being more important to to the central plot, maybe even come along for the ride once in a while. I feel like that would have definitely been a huge impact. That's basically my biggest negative of the game. It's not that they aren't enjoyable. I just wish there was more done with them. And maybe they can take this criticism and maybe add more to it. Because I feel like there's a lot left to give with this game, this license. I really enjoyed playing it. So overall, I definitely would highly recommend playing this game. The good things, they definitely outweigh the few bad things. And there's going to be a lot of updates with this game, I've heard, and I wonder if we're going to have some DLC or maybe even news of a possible sequel. I know it's early, but hey, I love this world, and I love to invest more time in it because I definitely had a blast. But that is going to be it. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this review and it gave you some type of incentive ways to buy or wait or maybe not get, just not for you. But hopefully I can see you guys back on my next video. Thanks, and I'll see you all later. Peace, and I'm sorry for staring, Eve.